Hi, good days. Hope you're doing fine. In this series, we will discuss about the important questions from the Victorian age. If you are ready, let's get started. Which poem of Arnold contains these lines? Hath neither joy nor love, nor light, nor certitude, nor peace, nor help for pain. Dover Beach. Who said about Tennyson that he is decidedly the greatest poet of our living poets? Matthew Arnold. Who propagated the idea of high seriousness and grand style in poetry? Matthew Arnold. Which novelist of the Victorian age besides Dickens is known for his brilliant irony and social spirit. Thackeray. Sonnets from the Portuguese has been written by Mrs. Browning. The poems Palace of Art and A Dream of Fair Women were written by Alfred Tennyson. The musical quality of Tennyson's poetry was superb and unsurpassed. Who is the poet who voiced the idea that Tennyson's poetry is musical except one word scissors? Arnold. The subject of In Memoriam remained in Tennyson's mind for 17 years. Identify the novelist who is known as a novelist of civilization. George Eliot. Name the poet who wrote The Darkling Thrush. Thomas Hardy. Who wrote the preface to the essays? Ruskin's. On Jury Catter's third essay in Unto This Last, Ruskin has borrowed the title from the masterpiece of a great writer. Name of that writer is Dante. Identify the novel in which Dickens said, "No words can express the agony of my soul." David Copperfield. Bleak House, a serious novel by Dickens and an attack on the legal system, was published in the year 1853. Pip is a character in one of Dickens' novels. Name of the novel is Great Expectations. Who said about Shakespeare? Others abide our question. Thou art free, we ask and ask. I thou smilest and art still out topping knowledge. Matthew Arnold. Poetry is a criticism of life. The poet who advocated this idea is Matthew Arnold. In the domain of criticism, we are still living in the age of Matthew Arnold, who voiced this idea about Arnold. F. R. Lewis, who introduced George Eliot to G. H. Lewis. Herbert Spencer. George Eliot wrote under the pseudonym of a man. Who was the man? G. H. Lewis. The Mill on the Floors, a novel by George Eliot, is looked upon as a spiritual autobiography. Which one of the following poems is the most difficult and obscure? Written by Robert Browning. Sordello. Robert Browning is first and foremost a philosopher. Identify the poem written by Alfred Tennyson which contains the following lines: to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. Ulysses. One of the Victorian poets who was interested in incidents in the development of the soul is Robert Browning. Which one of the poems written by Browning contains the following lines? O world, as God had made it, and have learned his duty, the guardian angel. Matthew Arnold is best known for criticism. Henry Esmond by Thackeray is a historical novel. Lydgate is a character in George Eliot's one of the novels. The novel is Middlemarch. Who wrote The Cloister and the Hearth, one of the best historical novels of Victorian age? Charles Read. Life of Charlotte Bronte, one of the best biographies, is written by Mrs. Gaskell. Ruskin's English may be called Johnsonian. A great critic poet of Victorian age wrote against materialism and mechanization, the forces that were spilling the moral and spiritual foundation of the Victorian society. The man is Matthew Arnold. Unto This Last contains 4 essays. The duration of Queen Victoria's reign was 64 years. In the last decade of the 19th century, the comedy of manners was revived in the works of Wilde, Jones, Pinero. Lady Windermere's Fan and Woman of No Importance, or the famous plays of Oscar Wilde. Francis Thompson, whose greater poetry was published between 1883 and 1897, was influenced by metaphysical poets. So here is a typo. So the year 1983, that is wrong. 1883 is the correct one. Bill Sykes and Fagin the Jew figure in Oliver's Twist. The subtitle of Frances Burney's Evelina is a Gothic novel. Lewis Carroll's real name Charles Dodgson. William Morris born in the year 1834. The Defense of Guinevere and Other Poems was written by William Morris. A.C. Swinburne was born in the year 1837. Poetic works of Swinburne, Atlanta in Caledon, Poems and Ballads, Songs Before Sunrise, Poems and Ballads, second series, Tristram of Lyonesse. Swinburne devised the poetic form called the roundel. A century of roundels was dedicated to Christina Rossetti. Chastelin is a verse drama. Bothwell is a verse drama. Tristram of Lyonesse in written by Algernon Charles Swinburne. A study of Shakespeare and a study of Ben Jonson are written by Swinburne. Roundel form is a variation of the French roundel form. Swinburne's poem A Baby's Death contains 7 roundels. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow was born in the year 1807, who was the first American to translate Dante Alighieri's The Divine Comedy. H.W. Longfellow. H.W. Longfellow was one of the 5 fireside poets. Novels by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Hyperion, a Romance, 1839. The Spanish Student, a play in 3 acts, 1843. Evangeline, a Tale of Acadie, that's an epic poem written in the year 1847. Cavanagh, 1849, The Song of Hiawatha, that also a epic poem in the year 1855, and The Divine Tragedy, 1871. Poems by H.W. Longfellow, Voices of the Night, 1839, Ballads and Other Poems, 1841, Birds of Passage, 1845. Edward Fitzgerald was born in the year 1809. The Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam is written by Edward Fitzgerald. The Roman Boulder was written by Sidney Dobell. Dobell's poem The Roman, dedicated to the interest of political liberty in Italy. William Ernest Henley was born in the year 1849. Best remembered work of W.E. Henley is Invictus. Henley described as less a book than a mosaic of scraps and shreds recovered from the short rubbish of some 14 years of journalism, views and revised a volume of notable criticism. The Song of the Sword is the first poem of Henley. London Voluntaries is a volume of poetry by W.E. Henley. Pro Rege Nostra is a poem by Henley was popular during First World War. Pro Rege Nostra is a patriotic verse. What have I done for you, England? My England, what is there I would not do? England, my own. These lines are taken from the poem England, My England by W.E. Henley. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. The lines are taken from Invictus by W.E. Henley. W.E. Henley was affected by tuberculosis. The poem Invictus was published in the year 1875. Major work of Thomas Carlyle, Sorter Resortes. Thomas Carlyle's first attempt at fiction was Cruthers and Johnson. Works of Thomas Carlyle, Sorter Resortes, The French Revolution, Heroes and Hero Worship, Worship of Silence and Sorrow, The Everlasting Yeah and No. A man's religion consists not of the many things he is in doubt of and tries to believe, but of the few he is assured of and has no need of effort for believing, whose words is this. Thomas Carlyle, who described Dickens as a fine little fellow, a face of most extreme mobility, which he shuttles about eyebrows, eyes, mouth, and all in a very singular manner while speaking. Thomas Carlyle. In later day, Fabulous Carlyle attacked democracy. Truth could be discovered by totting up oaths. Whose words is this? Thomas Carlyle. John Ruskin was born in the year 1819. Ruskin's first publication was his poem on Skiddaw and Derwentwater. Ruskin first came to widespread attention with the first volume of Modern Painters, 1843. The King of the Golden River is a novel written by Ruskin for Effie Gray. The King of the Golden River is also known as the Black Brothers, a legend of Styria, Squads and Hands are the characters in The King of the Golden River. The Seven Lamps of Architecture was written by Ruskin. In 1848, established Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood by John Everett Millais, William Holman Hunt, Dante Gabriel Rossetti. In 1848, established Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood by John Everett Millais, William Holman Hunt, Dante Gabriel Rossetti. I gave up my artwork and wrote unto this last the central work of life, whose words are this. Ruskin. The Pre-Raphaelites were James Collinson, he is a painter, William Holman Hunt, he is also a painter, John Everett Millais, he is also a painter, Dante Gabriel Rossetti is also a painter as well as poet. Frederick George Stephens, he is a critic. William Michael Rossetti, he is also a critic. Thomas Ulner, he is a sculptor as well as poet. Next one. T.B. Macaulay was born in the year 1800. Thomas Babington Macaulay was a Whig politician. Lays of Ancient Rome is a collection of ballads was written by T.B. Macaulay. The history of England from the accession of James II was written by T.B. Macaulay. The history of England covers the period from 1685 to 1702. Karl Moss refer Macaulay as a systematic falsifier of history. Charles Dickens was born in the year 1812. David Copperfield is the eighth novel by Charles Dickens. Clara Peggotty, Betsy Trotwood, Edward Murdstone, Jane Murdstone, Mr. Creakle are the characters in the novel David Copperfield. Sidney Cotton, Lucy Manet, Charles Darnay are the character in the novel Tale of Two Cities. Thank you so much for watching this video till the end. If you are having any suggestion, let me know in the comment section. We'll see you next video. Tada, bye bye.